At my wedding, a woman in white danced not with her father nor with the bridesmaids, but with another man during our supposed first dance. It was she who selected him, and I allowed it, for by then, evidence of his presence at the Ridgemont Hotel on Route 9 was stored on a flash drive within my jacket pocket. 3 days prior to the wedding, I visited the hotel, reserving the honeymoon suite for Saturday night. My intention was to leave a bottle of bourbon and a written message on the bed as a post-reception surprise. The receptionist smiled upon my arrival. "Back again?" she queried. Informing her it was my inaugural visit since the booking, she appeared perplexed. "I assumed you were the man who arrived with your fiancée last night. My apologies, my error." I hesitated for a mere 5 seconds before asking her to describe the man. She depicted someone tall, with dark hair and smartly dressed. 8 o'clock was when she claimed they arrived and departed around midnight without a fuss from me. Inquired about the manager, discovered it was Phil Barker, whom I had rewired part of the second floor for 2 summers prior. He recognized me, asked Phil to review the lobby camera footage from the previous night. He didn't inquire as to why. He displayed it on his office monitor and left. Megan entered at 8:07 p.m., accompanied by a man who had his hand on her back. I recognized him, Darren, her coworker. They proceeded directly to the elevator without stopping at the reception desk. Phil returned with a flash drive. I spent around 10 minutes in my truck parked outside the hotel, then phoned my elder brother Wade, informed him about the incident. He suggested canceling the wedding. I refused. Wade inquired if I was out of my mind. I clarified that I wasn't, rather, I found something. The wedding was scheduled for 3 days, with payments made for the venue and caterer confirmed, 86 guests with flight reservations. Megan's expenses were split between her parents and my mother, yet it wasn't this expense that mattered most to me. I needed Darren in attendance. I desired Megan in her wedding dress. I sought for everyone who had listened to her narrate her ideal relationship to view the lobby footage personally. That evening was spent planning. The venue possessed a projector. We'd rented it for a slideshow of our shared memories. I contacted the AV staff, informing them about an updated presentation file. They said I could upload it myself on the day simply by plugging in the USB. Wade arrived around 11 p.m. He sat opposite me at the kitchen table and asked, "Are you certain about this?" I assured him that I had never been more confident about anything. He nodded and opened 2 beers. We spoke little afterward. Communication was unnecessary. Megan messaged me at midnight. "Can't sleep, so excited for Saturday." I responded, "Me too." The following days were the most peculiar acting experience of my life. I kissed Megan goodbye in the morning, confirmed the florist, retrieved my suit, smiled at the rehearsal dinner, shaking Darren's hand upon his arrival as one of her guests. He met my gaze and said, "You're a fortunate man, Cal." I replied, "I am fully aware of what I possess." On Thursday evening, Megan reviewed the reception playlist with me. She had included an unfamiliar song for our first dance. I inquired about its origin. She mentioned that a colleague from work had suggested it, a tune that held significant meaning for her. I remained unruffled. I jotted down the title and moved on. On Friday night at the rehearsal dinner, Megan's maid of honor, her sister Jules, drew me aside. She revealed that Megan had been somewhat detached in recent weeks and asked if everything was all right between us. I informed Jules that everything was perfectly in order. After the dinner, I uploaded the footage onto a flash drive. I verified its functionality on my laptop twice. The lobby camera captured the entire event, the entrance, the elevator ride, the timestamp. Audio wasn't necessary. The picture sufficed. I pocketed the drive in my suit jacket and hung it on the closet door. At 5 in the morning, Saturday found me awake while Megan remained asleep. I stood over her for a duration, not with sorrow or anger, but clarity. I retrieved my suit, exited our home, and drove to Wade's to prepare. The ceremony commenced at 4 at Hall Church on Maple Avenue. White chairs, sunlight streaming through stained glass, I stood at the altar as she approached down the aisle, radiant indeed. Our vows proceeded as rehearsed. Mine were spoken without any falter, hers echoing with sobs. The attendees enjoyed the display. Wade served as best man behind me, and at one juncture he placed his hand on my shoulder. I understood its significance. After the ceremony, the celebration migrated to Hillcrest Lodge, a repurposed barn adorned with string lights, long tables, a wooden dance floor. The projector was positioned near the DJ booth, directed at a white screen behind the head table. The slideshow was scheduled to play during dinner. I'd changed the USB stick earlier. The evening commenced smoothly, cocktails, hors d'oeuvres, Megan mingling as if it were her own event. Darren sat 3 tables away from ours. His wife, Christine, was beside him. A reserved woman with short brown hair I'd briefly met at Megan's office party. From afar, I observed Megan laughing in response to something Darren said across the room. Then she noticed me and sent a kiss. The DJ announced the first dance. Megan headed to the dance floor's center. I rose, but she didn't approach me. Instead, she gestured toward Darren's table and extended her hand. "This song is for my best friend," she declared into the microphone, acknowledging the person who supported me through the toughest year of my life. The room fell silent. Darren rose and danced with her. No one else moved. 86 guests watched as my wife danced with another man at our wedding reception. Some thought it was touching. Others looked at me, standing near the head table with my hands in my pockets. Wade leant close and murmured, "It's time now." I shook my head, replying, "Not just yet." The music ceased and applause followed. Megan returned to me, gripping my arm, and whispered, "Don't feel threatened, darling. He's merely a friend." I smiled and responded, "Indeed." The toast ensued 20 minutes later. Jules initiated it, her speech being sweet, emotional, but forgettable. Next, Wade stood up. His remarks were brief, speaking of brotherhood and valuing what truly matters. Lifted his glass, then glanced at me and stated, "And now the groom has some words to share." I approached the microphone. The room fell silent. I gazed at Megan, who was radiant. I expressed, "Initially, I had a slideshow ready, images of us. However, I believe a different type of memory is more truthful tonight." I pressed the remote, and the projector illuminated the screen behind me. A grainy security footage of the hotel lobby appeared, time-stamped as Wednesday, 8:07 p.m. Megan entered, accompanied by Darren's hand on her lower back. They crossed the lobby and got into the elevator. The footage played for 30 seconds without interruption. I faced the microphone again. Mentioning the Ridgemont Hotel, that man was Darren, her closest friend, the one she just danced with for the first time. I placed the mic on the table and exited the dance floor. A commotion followed me as I heard Cher scraping, someone gasping, Jules calling Megan's name. Ignoring it, I was almost at the parking lot when Wade joined me. He walked silently by my side. Upon reaching his truck, he drove. Before we hit the main road, my phone began buzzing with calls from Megan, her mother, Jules, and an unknown number. I silenced the phone and stored it in the glove compartment. Wade inquired about my destination. I requested my workshop, a small garage on Industrial Drive where I kept my tools and supplies. He dropped me there. Upon entering, I opened the bay door, moved the chair to the workbench, and sat in the stillness for a while. However, not for long, as I had tasks at hand. I powered up my laptop and typed out a concise message to Megan. "I seek an annulment on Monday morning. Avoid contacting me. Any messages should be conveyed through a lawyer." After that, I messaged a number saved 2 days prior, which belonged to Christine, Darren's wife. I wrote, "I'm Cale, Megan's husband. I believe you ought to inquire from your husband about his whereabouts on the previous Wednesday night. I apologize." Closing the laptop, I pulled out a job estimate that I had delayed for weeks, an office building rewiring grant. With shaky hands for the first time in 3 days, I filled it out. Monday morning found me at the county clerk's office before it opened, submitting an annulment application on fraudulent grounds. The clerk verified the form and confirmed, "It has been 72 hours since the ceremony," to which I replied affirmatively. She stamped it without further words. Upon leaving, I scrutinized my phone for 14 missed calls from Megan, 1 unheard voicemail, and 3 texts from Jules. The first filled with anger, the second perplexed, and the third requesting a conversation. One message from Christine, "Thank you, I was unaware, I'm taking the children to my sister's." After reading it twice, Megan visited my store on Tuesday afternoon. As I saw her car enter the parking lot via the garage door, she stepped out in jeans and a sweater without makeup, appearing exhausted since Saturday. She approached my workbench without a word. I didn't rise from my seat. "You embarrassed me in front of everyone I know," she said. I placed down my wire strippers, looked at her, then spoke one sentence. "That was all it took, Megan. You danced with him at our wedding right in front of me." She hesitated, but nothing came out. For 5 to 6 seconds, she gazed at me before turning around and walking back to her car. I picked up my wire strippers again and resumed working. The annulment process was swift. Megan didn't contest it. Her lawyer submitted papers accepting the terms, no shared assets, no disputes. We had only been married for 72 hours, so there wasn't much to divide. Acquired the store, vehicle, and equipment. She retained the apartment and unreturned presents. It was tidy. However, the surroundings were not. Megan's mother contacted me once. She didn't scream. She expressed, "I would have preferred a private conversation." I told her I regretted her daughter dancing with her partner at our wedding. She ended the call. Jules messaged me a week later. "For your information, I wasn't aware. I trusted her." I didn't reply, but I trusted her. Men on my team avoided inquiry. They had witnessed the news spread like wildfire across town. A small town with a grand wedding and sensational videos. One of them Danny mentioned over lunch. He saw it on someone's phone. You possess more audacity than anyone I know. I told him to complete his meal and return to the panel box. I immersed myself in the Granton project. Long 12-hour days. I roused my crew at 6 a.m., didn't depart before nightfall. The property owner was pleased. I wasn't working for him, but for the project. I performed the tasks because each pipeline I laid, every wire I strung, was tangible evidence to me. Megan vacated our apartment 2 weeks hence, rumored to be staying with her cousin in Trenton. A month post the nuptials, Christine contacted me. I almost let it ring unanswered. She disclosed Darren had departed. The divorce petition was filed after she discovered additional messages, not only from Megan. 2 other women from his workplace over the last 4 years were involved, too. He'd been playing the same trick for a considerable period. Something she said lingered. He'll lose his job as well. Human Resources launched an investigation following both my and her formal complaint. 3 colleagues in the same department are implicated, forming a pattern. I asked how she fared. She admitted she was more enraged than ever in her life. Yet this rage fueled her forward. I comprehended that. She thanked me again. I reassured her she owed me nothing. After our conversation ended, I stood in the shop entrance and gazed at the vacant lot beyond. Momentarily, a sensation akin to guilt washed over me, not for my actions but for their exposure. For Christine observing the footage. For Jules weeping in the parking lot. The fleeting guilt vanished, replaced by recollections of Megan grasping Darren's hand, visible to all, including myself. Instead of remorse, I secured the shop and headed to the Granton site, an upcoming inspection necessitating a thorough examination of every junction box. My recent experiences had taught me one crucial lesson. Examine work before someone else discovers the flaw. 6 weeks post-wedding, Wade and I fished at Baylor Lake, an activity we hadn't undertaken in years. He carried the rods, I supplied the cooler. We sat on the dock, barely speaking for the initial hour, then Wade queried, "Any news from her?" I informed him Megan had emailed, a lengthy message filled with unnecessary explanations that I hadn't solicited. She detailed how Darren made her feel acknowledged, how the incident was unplanned, how she still loved me. Wade queried about the item's whereabouts. I disclosed I had discarded it. He acknowledged with a nod. All right, we continued fishing for another couple of hours. I managed to catch a bass while Wade came up empty-handed and blamed the bait. During our journey back, he unexpectedly said something out of the blue. "Actually, Mom wants to know if you're eating." I chuckled. It had been an authentic laugh in 6 weeks. I assured him to inform her that I was eating well and taking on more work than I had in 2 years. It was accurate. The Granton project ended before schedule. The property owner recommended me for 2 additional contracts. By the end of that month, I added a 4th member to my crew and began pursuing commercial jobs I wouldn't have considered 6 months prior. I wasn't constructing a life to impress Megan. I was doing so because I ceased waiting for someone else to outline them. 8 weeks following our whirlwind 72-hour wedding, I passed the Ridgemont Hotel on Route 9 without slowing down or looking back. Check a job site in Granton, needed to submit 2 bids by noon. Arrived to find Marco already there, who handed me coffee, stating 2nd floor approved by inspector. Sipped coffee, examined floor and panel myself, as finalization of annulment occurred a week prior. 1 signature, 1 stamp complete. Darren lost job at insurance company. Christine received house. Megan remained in Trenton. Learned about it through Jules' text I hadn't asked for. Read the text, set phone aside, picked up tape measure instead. Finished work and drove to a Route 22 diner I had been wanting to visit. Settled at counter, ordered medium rare steak with beer. Waitress questioned if celebrating something. Replied, just hungry. Savored meal, left generous tip. Stepped into parking lot with scent of fresh cut grass and diesel. Climbed in truck, opened next job estimate on phone. A major refurbishment project at Hadley's school. A significant undertaking, suitable for completing during winter. I responded affirmatively to the facilities manager of the school, expressing readiness. Request the specifications and I'll proceed. I set the truck in motion.